Gillette V8 Supercar Challenge is coming up, an all-Holden racing team front row of the 2003 Lexmark Indy 300. The build-up continues. The weather is crystal clear, a slight breeze blowing across the course as per normal here on the Gold Coast Street Circuit. What have we got ahead? 100 kilometres, 22 laps, one compulsory pit stop. That will be for tyres. The Surfers Paradise Street Circuit, Concrete Canyon the whole way around, 257 kilometres top speed. The circuit itself around 4.5 Ks. Marcus Ambrose has the lap record set last year, 12 turns.
Now let's go on board with Greg Murphy for the Engage hot seat. This is the front straight with a gentle right curvature, a blind approach to the first chicane. Huge braking application from just under 260 Ks. Pound the curbs. Watch out for the bumps on the exit. That fence is super close. Third gear, back to second. Third, this is the approach to turn 3. Fourth, briefly in fifth. Lots of bumps opposite the V8 Supercar paddock. Turn 3, left-hander, second gear, 90 degrees. On the rev limiter, 7,500 revs. Turn 4. Concrete wall sticks right out there. Now heading north. Flat shift. Fifth, rev limiter. Carry the brake through this turn. Your foot still on the brake. Here. Pick up the throttle. Second gear. Beautiful exit for Murphy. Third. Fourth. Thinking now about the approach to the chicane. Tap of the brakes to make sure they're there. Third gear, left, right, left. The bump kicks the car sideways. Fourth. Very bumpy on the approach to 8. Manhole covers, a couple of them. Turn 8, second gear. Rev limiter again, howling in the background. 9. Potential trouble spots here because of the blind exits. Briefly in third gear, coming up to the final complex, 11 and 12, back to second, easy to lock a brake on the right, let the car drift high, easy on the throttle, there's the oversteer, watch out for the 600 odd horsepower, 3, 4, 5, and ultimately pull top gear. That's the 4.5 Ks of the wild Gold Coast Street Circuit.
It's officially silly season, and it's only going to get worse. Todd Kelly will start from pole position alongside his teammate, Mark Scaife. That's the first HRT 1-2 start since round 2 at Phillip Island when Scaife was on pole and Kelly was second. Engel and Jason Bright on the second row of the grid. Position 5 belongs to Greg Murphy. Then it's Jason Richards. Stephen Ellery will start from 7th. Max Wilson starting from 8th.
Then it's Stephen Richards and Rick Kelly in the top 10. Dean Canto and Stephen Johnson 11 and 12. Simon Wills, Glenn Seaton, Marcus Ambrose in an uncustomary 15th. Paul Radisich behind him.
And as we go through the field, I can just tell you that in this starting grid that you're taking a look at as we turn over the pages, there are 4 guys who have put down their best qualifying performance of the year and 4 guys who have put down their worst qualifying performance of the year. Garth Tander that you saw, that was one of his worst qualifiers in car number 34. He'll start from way back in 24th. The guys who have done their best: Kelly, Engel, Max Wilson and Stephen Ellery. The guys who have done their worst: Ambrose, Craig Lowndes, Paul Morris and Garth Tander. The Duracell bunny is buzzing and ready to rumble in pit lane.
That's actually Greg Rust.
Yeah, I knew he went somewhere.
It's his new outfit for pit reporting.
He looks much better, doesn't he? Got to fix that red nose though, Rusty. A bit of 15 plus.
Yeah, send the makeup down there now.
Warm-up lap has been completed. And they will grid up for the first 22 lap event. Last year, Greg Murphy won race 1. Jason Bargwanna won race 2. Bargwanna given the overall championship victory, his first of the year, and the first one he'd knocked over since teaming up with Garth Tander to win Bathurst. So this race can and should throw up a few surprises, but look at that menacing front row, car 1 and car 2. Great to see Todd Kelly on pole position. 22 laps, 31 starters. 75% of race distance is 17 laps. The pit window is open between 2 and 16, and they only have to stop 4 tyres. It's actually a tick under 100 kilometres this event, 99.9 recurring, I guess. So the rear of the grid starts to make its way into position.
And the thing to keep particular eye on at the start of this motor race is the capacity for there to be terror in the first and second chicanes, and then again down at turn 3, because most drivers recognise that that's the opportunity to make a pass before the race settles into a rhythm. After that, it becomes pretty tough.
Just wonder what's going through Todd Kelly's mind at the moment. He's never started from pole position before. This is his biggest day. The roar starts to rumble, and we're underway for the Gillette V8 Supercar Challenge, and Kelly goes shooting ahead of his teammate. Russell Ingall applies maximum pressure to Mark Scaife already. Down to the Lexmark chicane. The question here is, will all these cars go through cleanly? There's tyre barriers on the left and the right. Trouble everywhere if you go offline. Kelly goes through. Ingall, then Scaife, then Murphy. Clean start throughout the first 2 chicanes. Something of a miracle on the streets of the Gold Coast as they head down towards turn 3.
Excellent start from Russell Ingall. Todd Kelly quick down into 3 and locked up a little on the way. One of the Kmart cars was pretty heavily crossed up in the first chicane, but it looks like he got away with it. And fingers crossed we've got the whole mob through the first series of critical corners without too much nonsense.
Everybody's behaving themselves, single line.
Part of what drives that is the fact that they go racing in New Zealand in 2 weeks' time. Nobody can afford major damage with so little turnaround time before these cars have got to be shipped across.
Kelly leads the way. He got the power down very quickly. Scaife didn't look too sluggish, but Ingall just pounced straight away. Russell starting from position 3. He dragged along behind Kelly and took advantage of that good start from young Toddler. Through the Barticardis as they go up towards turn 8 now. The leaders head through. Wonderful conditions for racing. A little bit of trouble out the back. Yellow flag as somebody went firing off the exit route, and it's one of the better electricals. It looks like 65, which is Paul Radisich.
He's away again, but not before virtually the entire field goes by.
Simon Wills is deep into the barrier. The team dynamic.
Have you hit hard? Can you back out?
Car 44, that's a big pond turn.
He's grabbed reverse. It's a fair old whack in the front right corner.
Okay, get going. Stay out or come in?
Looks like...
Stay out. We'll have a look on the pit wall, see if it's a problem.
Todd Kelly, 2 minutes, 0.6 seconds. And here is Dean Canto. That's who it was. It wasn't Radisich. It was Dean Canto. Into the wall and very hard. I think he messed up with concrete. You'll see, have a look at the back. There you go. That's Simon Wills, who found the tyre barrier. Copped a few raspberries for his efforts from the crowd. And Canto has more pressing problems on the right-hand side of car 66. Ouch.
It's a big whack, isn't it?
No rubber left on that front, is there?
No. There might be.
Yeah, it's still there. It's just a mangled mess at the front. Now he's had to park it.
At least he's got it out of a dangerous position away from the exit of the corner and as far left as he can get it at the pit lane entry to try and minimise the impact on anybody else and protect a pretty valuable asset.
Up along the beach side, through the VB chicane. Car 2, car 9, car 1. Kelly's got good speed in the HRT VY. It's got the new Holden Motorsport engine. Scaife is sticking with the older engine. And this is off your start, looking out of Scaife, and there goes his teammate, Bob I. Watch this, because Russell Ingall will now follow him. By the time they get to turn 1, Ingall is really putting pressure on Scaife, and there he goes. Scaife goes from second back to third. And we've got a yellow flag situation, full course yellow. And that will mean that the Audi safety car will take control on lap 2 of 22.
I wonder if that's just for this vehicle or whether there's another incident somewhere. I wouldn't have thought that that car in that position would have prompted the safety car.
The race update shows you there. It's Kelly, Ingall, Scaife, Murphy and Bright. And I just watched on that second flying lap, Neil, that Marcus Ambrose posted the fastest time, a 1:54.98. About
Correct, mate. Straight into the pits this lap. Straight into the pits this lap.
1.5 seconds clear of the next best.
The pitting window here is between laps 2 and 16, and so many people will use this opportunity now to get their compulsory tyre stop out of the way.
Isn't he focused today, Russell Ingall? He's won here before on the streets of surface. 2 times, in fact. Obviously in a Holden Commodore. Now, this is his local race. And he seems to have...
Russell, do you want to come in this lap or you want to run?
Seems to have achieved what Marcus hasn't so far, and that's get the setup right.
How long do you reckon the pace car's going to be out?
The pace car's not going to be out for long, but I'd like you to end this lap.
Campbell just talking to Russell.
If the pace car lights go out.
I've asked the question, and apparently the reason for the safety car is the pit lane in obstruction, and it didn't look to me as though it was a major drama. There's tons of room on the right-hand side of that to still have the whole field just stroll straight in.
Well, the question now, Neil, is if you want to come in and pit under the safety car,
yeah, I think
how do you get in?
Well, I think you'll find this thing's out of the way by the time the field gets there.
So they're trundling around the back. The tow truck is trying to remove car 66. And you're right, they're going to get it out of the way. Some of the teams were concerned across the radios that they wouldn't be able to come in. And here's Paul Morris just shooting off down at turn 3. Doesn't go too deep, and will have to just touch a little tyre barrier before he goes in. So the Audi R6 has successfully brought the cars back around to the beach side. And should be able to get a restart underway. No dramas out there on the track. The lights are out on the safety car.
And that'll mean that everybody re-scrambles their plan on pitting.
Mate, stay out, it's coming in.
There you go. As soon as those lights go out on the safety car, that means we'll get a restart as soon as they cross the control line. The cars have got to remain in single file until they get to the start line. They cannot pass until after that point.
And there's still a, when you get to that main straight, here they come coming around turns 11 and 12, which brings them onto this big, long, curving to the right main straightaway.
It's a full kilometre from that point there to the end of the braking area into turn 1. So it's long and fast, about 255 odd Ks in one of these cars.
And the control line is just ahead of that Haviland bridge.
Still a lot of people going to stay in. That surprises me.
Quite a few have gone in. Looks as though Todd stayed out. Scaife has gone in. That's the Holden Racing Team deal. Now Jason Bright is behind him. Looks as though Rick Kelly from the Kmart team.
I reckon that's going to hurt those guys that have come in, because they've all gone line astern at very slow speed on the pit in, which means that they'll have lost track segment time on the pit in. Rusty.
Looks like there was some sort of contact, Neil. Not quite sure. It looked like there was some sort of contact between one of the Team Dynamic entries, 45 car, and Paul Wheel as they came into pit lane. So, wonder if that might come to the attention of the officials. Dean Cantor has just walked back in. Dean, just tell us what happened.
Got off to a bad start. The clutch slipped fairly violently off the lights, and coming over the last turn on the back straight there, I think I got a touch from either Simon Wills, and yeah, just straight into the wall.
Not the result you were looking for here, Dean.
No, it's not. No, it was starting off with a great weekend, but unfortunately it ended pretty bad.
Thanks, Dean.
Cheers, mate.
Well, a scrambly stop there for HRT with Kelly, and it looked like they dropped the car before it was due to come off, and some signal mix-up there. Let's have a look at this Strathfield replay. What's going on here?
Well,
here we go, aggravation.
Trying to get out in front of Greg Murphy, and he does it by inches.
Only because Murphy braked, and that actually could cause a bit of aggravation. Darryl?
Yes, Neil, what happened there was I heard the crew talking about Todd Kelly before he came in. They said, we're going to have to try and lift this car. The jacks are a little slow coming up. And what happened was when the man on the front left was trying to put that wheel on, the car kept coming down and they couldn't hold it up.
OK, so they got a leak in one of the air jacks then.
They're talking about it right now.
Now, what I was talking about before, Matty, from about this point, remember the rest of them that came in were hemmed in behind the safety car, so their speed is down. In other words, they're burning time. Once they get past the pit control line, we know 40Ks is 40Ks, whether you mark Scaife or any of the other people that pitted. But I reckon, relative to the fact that Scaife, when he pits, will come in hot at 200 Ks, jump on the brakes, then down to 40 Ks in the pit lane, I would imagine that in net time, we'll look at this, a replay, as Bargwanna goes straight ahead, then he's going to be better off than those that had to take the stop in a slower condition.
Who did take the stop? Ingle, Murphy, Stephen Richards, Stephen Ellery, Jason Richards, Max Wilson. They were some of the leading contenders that took the stop. These guys didn't. Scaife, Bright, Rick Kelly, Stephen Johnson, Glenn Seaton. Ambrose moves up to 6th position on the road. Bernard is 7th. Bradley Jones is 8th. You can see Marcus Ambrose started from 15th position, has not pitted on your PlayStation 2 race score. Well, the Gillette V8 Supercar Challenge has, in the opening stages of this 22-lap race, become a question of to pit or not to pit. Marcus Ambrose decides to come in. Very slick work from the Stone Brothers Racing team, in and out.
Beautiful stop. Now,
4 new tyres, that will significantly improve his position.
Well, there you go. See, Russell was in that earlier group, and you can see that Marcus, relative to his teammate, for example, has made substantial ground out of that. So I think those that were all in that bottled up queue, waiting to ultimately get to the pit control line, pitting on the safety car in that instance, to me, didn't make any sense at all. Look at all this.
So all these guys are bunched up, and look at Scaife.
See all this? See all the concertina?
You got to start sort of... Oh, there was contact there at the rear, so that's how car 45 got a black flag. There was also contact between one of the Castrol Perkins cars. Bradley Jones, though, is out of the race. He's with Daryl Beattie. What happened, Daryl?
Well, Bradley, it's not nice when stuff like this happens.
No, it's very frustrating, Daz. I mean, the car was pretty good in the warm-up this morning. It's pretty fast, and it was really quick. We did a really good call to leave the car out when all the others came in, and I felt that we would leapfrog a fair few cars. You know, you can't gather up championship points when the car stops, so really unfortunate for the whole team. Really worked hard this weekend. Last year we were really fast here, and we were creeping back up to it. Very disappointing for the Aussie team.
Have you got any idea roughly what it was?
Something in the engine. I mean, maybe it's dropped a valve or something, I don't know, but it's gone off song. So running out of oil pressure, just a matter of time before it explodes.
Thanks, Bradley.
Thank you.
The track conditions at the moment, the air temperature is 27, the track is 34, so it's cooling off a little relative to, for example, Champ Car qualifying, and you can see some of the longer shadows here now. This is the run north up this back straight, and Murphy working hard and looking for cool air behind Ingle. Huge amounts of billowing hot air from the preceding car dramatically and negatively impacts your water temperature if you stay tucked under the rear wing of the preceding car.
The PlayStation 2 race score shows you that the top 7 on the road at the moment haven't completed their compulsory pit stop, and all these guys that did were caught in that little traffic jam heading into pit lane.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you much, Matty, but anything in this field, you know, if I had to sit in a queue behind you and waste a second and a half getting to the pit, then that could be 5 or 6 cars.
Todd Kelly,
Lowndes,
and
is
then
he about to hit the wall?
Yeah, I'd say so. Oh,
big time.
That's the tyre barrier that just overhangs the wall there at the exit of the Lexmark chicane, turn 1. Any deeper than that, and you're not getting out of there in a hurry.
The total time loss relative to a normal lap time profile to get into the pits, take your average service for wheels and tyres, and then depart the pit lane and rejoin to the normal time profile is a total loss of, on average, about 48 seconds around here. So it's a pretty lengthy stop because the pit lane is so long.
Ingle and Murphy having a scrap for positions 8
Oh,
and 9.
Murphy was mega crossed up there. The thing leapt off that ripple strip, and Murph surfed it for about 75 metres up the road sideways. He gathered it up. Just must have cracked the throttle at the point where the inside rear was airborne, and it slid along on one right rear. Look how close he is now, though, to the back of Ingle. It hasn't impaired his progress at all.
Russell started from position 3. That's his best ever qualifying performance in a Ford. And Greg Murphy, what a month. also became a parent for the second time. Congratulations to Greg and Monique on the birth of Cormac. Another baby boy for the Murphy family, delivered at 1 a.m. Tuesday morning. Pretty good timing, lets him focus on the race weekend. I'm just so happy, the Kmart team, that they've managed to break through. So this is Scaife trundling along 40 kilometres an hour. The Duracell trees on the right-hand side.
Guys, for the rear roll center to go up one.
Feel like forever.
So he's putting the rear roll centre up, looking for more turn in the car.
These guys are all the way down the other end. It's a long, long pit lane.
But it means they can make a quick pit lane exit once the service is complete.
Yes, we've got that, mate.
Tyre change awaits Mark Scaife, and Darrell is right there.
Mark comes in, everything looks fine with the front jack. They're very slow coming up, Neil. I don't know, pressure-wise, Mark's car has come up a lot better and is staying up. They've made that roll centre adjustment. Good stop, good stop.
The reason Jeff's saying swing out is he's got to get into the fast lane. And look at this. Where he's come out, he's dropped position.
Well, Scaife was 46 seconds in front of Ingle when he went in for that pit stop.
So
now you can see that the track position goes Ingle, Murphy, then Scaife. So it's just a matter of timing this race in the early stages.
So those that were near the front of the queue in that early stop haven't been negatively affected. It's those a little bit further back that you could see in that concertina process that have been knocked around and right up against the wall there.
And what should happen when all this shakes out is that Russell Ingle will effectively be our race leader. What you're looking at on the road is position 6. We'll just go back and find a bit of an accident incident for Garth Tander. Spins it around.
Must be particularly slippery when you launch over that inside curbing there, because for the Murphy car to get so crossed up, 52.59, incidentally, fastest lap for Marcus Ambrose, and then for GT to have that half lose in that spot there is very unusual for highly capable drivers in good cars.
Jason Bright, Rick Kelly, Glenn Seaton, Jason Barguana and Anthony Tratt are yet to pit. So Bright leads on the road. By our calculations, when you throw in the pit stop, this man should be our leader or thereabouts, and here comes Rick. Youngest ever Bathurst winner, 20 years of age.
Come on, mate. Take it nice and easy.
Robbie Crawford just hands out the
Slow it down.
instructions.
They don't want him to skid through the positioning, or everybody's got to move their wheels. Sometimes the hoses don't reach ideally. Good stop.
Let's see where he rejoins the race. A little bit of paintwork left on the left-hand side of car number 15 as Seaton goes in and out as well. Where does Rick Kelly come out? Rick will rejoin the race behind Marcus Ambrose.
Rusty.
Well, Neil, there's a bit of anxiety down here in the Ford Performance Racing pit. A few guys pointing fingers at one another. It seems as though someone may have been a little bit over anxious and let Glenn Seaton off those jacks too soon. The front right wheel was not on properly. He'd rolled forward about 6 feet. They had to jack it back up again and refasten that front right.
That's a huge amount of time learned to recover from that, Greg, as you know. So Seaton was actually looking pretty reasonable, and that will have hurt him substantially now. He'll drop right down the order. And there's obviously a problem. Is there a problem with a rattle gun, or? So FTR crew not happy for one reason or another.
Now Jason Bright, leader on the road, is 43 seconds in front of Ingle, who we surmise to be our race leader.
Ellery's starting to hold me up here.
And Marcus.
Yeah, okay, Marcus. I'll see Ross and see what he can do. I think Ellery should make it fairly easy for you, mate.
Complaining that Stephen Ellery's starting to hold him up.
10 laps to go, 10 laps to go. You've got plenty of time. Just keep cool, mate. You're in P5.
He's got to make another couple of car lengths before he's really in a position to do much about him.
Murphy is P3. Murphy's P3, you're P5.
Good recovery.
Great recovery. Started from 15th.
That was all by virtue of the way they chose to take their stop. Good pit call for them, and for some of the people around them, a real bad one.
Not to mention pumping out 2 of the 5 fastest lap times. Ambrose a 52.593, the fastest man out there. That was on lap 9. We are now on lap 12. Well, this will sort everything out. The pit stop for Jason Bright, the leader on the road. Good work from Team Better Electrical. Now, the question is, where does he come out? By our estimation, he'll be hovering around the top 5.
They're coming all right.
There goes 1. There goes position 2, Murphy. There goes 3, that's Mark Scaife. Next up will be Stephen Ellery. There goes position 4 and position 5. So he comes out.
Marcus, look at Marcus.
Overshoots the chicane. Has he come to a halt? No. He's got it back. So he drops a spot to the Kmart Commodore.
And that's going to raise an interesting question mark, because race director Tim Schenken made it clear that if anybody well, it was actually difficult to see from that angle. It might have been a complete stop, but it might not have been too. They'll look closely at that in race control. The point I was about to make is drivers were instructed that they must come to a complete stop if they straight line a chicane.
Jason Bargwanna has gone in, so that's everybody completed in the field. Greg?
Matty, I spent some time up with Jason Bright's crew during that pit stop. What they did with the tyres on that car, they have monitored over the last few laps the increasing shade levels on this circuit. They estimate that the track temperature since the beginning of the race to now has dropped something in the order of 7 degrees, so they've adjusted the pressure in Jason Bright's tyres accordingly.
Now that everything's all said and done in the compulsory pit stop, the race score: first is Ingles, second is Murphy, third is Scaife, fourth Ellery, fifth now Bright, Rick Kelly is sixth, and Ambrose has dropped down to 7th. We're on board with...
Oh, gee, you can see Marcus went in there pretty hot. He had the rears locked and no chance of getting to the left through the chicane.
So that was as Jason Bright came out of pit lane.
I'd have to say that he certainly didn't make any gain on anybody, and that's probably the significant thing. And he recognised that he needed to not just blast straight through there. If he'd come out in front of that car, then he would have been in a bit of strife and had to correct and readdress.
This is your race leader.
52.2, fastest lap of the race for Ingle.
I'll tell you, he's had it sussed. 8th in practice 1, 10th in practice 2, 5th in qualifying, 3rd in the shootout.
It's got quite shady now, and as Greg alluded a moment ago, that will probably improve the track condition and potential lap speed. The lap record held by Marcus Ambrose, this man's teammate, at a 1:51.6 from last year.
Here's Murphy.
4/10 slower than Ingle on the last lap. 52.4 for Ingle, 52.8 for Murphy, 52.9 for Scaife in 3rd. Now the man in the 52s is Jason Bright in 5th place. He recorded a 52.7.
We haven't made mention for a while of our pole sitter, a teammate to this man, Todd Kelly. He's down in 11th position.
David Bernard's moved into the action. He must have got a gain out of a shrewd pit call, because he's up into 8th at the moment. Stephen Johnson 9th.
Oh, Jamie.
Max Wilson is 10th. Then it's Todd Kelly. See that fumbling in the pit lane cost him dearly. Radisich 12th.
Isn't it amazing? They started with such good behaviour on the first lap, and then a couple of little incidents that went wrong, and this little incident involving Ingle shooting out in front of Greg Murphy.
Yeah.
What's your call?
Well, it's difficult. The car controller is the one that makes the decision. It's not the driver whether to release a car, and so in his opinion he could safely release Russell, and he's certainly in front, but the impression I got was that Murphy had to brake there, but no, I think that's okay. Just a real close one and made everybody suck a bit of air for a minute.
Don't think we've heard anything out of the Kmart team, so normally you'd know, wouldn't you? They'd start to fire up pretty quickly, these guys. Every guy along pit lane especially. So Jason Bright holds down position number 5. Your Shell Helix race update is fully corrected. Russell Ingall first, Murphy Stephen Richards out of the car. Murphy second, Scaife third, Ellery fourth, and Bright fifth. And that's parked at the Bartercard S's. Maybe Daryl Beattie, as we just take a look at the view from inside the car, which ain't going anywhere. What do you got, Daryl?
Yeah, guys, I'm just standing down the exit of pit lane here. It's quite interesting, Neil, watching a lot of the cars come down here into one compared to practice and the shootout. The braking now is well before the exit of pit lane, so it's amazing watching the brakes go away in these cars, and a lot of them now starting to use the rears as well, backing in down through this right-hander.
That's right, we're just looking at Lowndes going off here, Daryl, but one of the things that happens at this racetrack is the fronts get hotter and hotter and hotter. And CL, did he miss any of those hats?
I don't know, but maybe he can come back and get the rest of them next time. It's about the only way you can get that thing back on it there. So this is a big lose coming into turn 3.
How lucky was that better electrical car not to get clobbered?
He got it on the way in, and now watch this. He misses him first time round because he has to flick spin it back. Now he's pointing the wrong direction, so he just mows him down on the way over as well.
And the crowd loving all that. I don't know whether Craig would be enjoying it. Look at all the scars down the side of it. Yeah, as the front brakes get hotter here, which happens very quickly, more aggressively you get into the brake pedal, the worse that gets. The worst thing you can do is then adjust your brake bias and apply more percentage to the front brakes. It only makes them hotter again. And as Daryl suggested, it's the rears that start to come on, and that's why people make mistakes going into that first chicane. They go in there with the rear brakes locked. We saw Marcus have that problem, and I'd say, without seeing the whole incident, not 100% sure, but Lowndes could also have been a victim of that. It's just very, very hot front brake temperatures. They lose friction efficiency, and they just don't pull the car up.
It's out of the car. He started in position number 9, but his race is over. What can you tell us, Daryl? We understand. We know anything about it yet?
Yeah, I've just asked the crew, Matty. They said it looks like no oil pressure, so obviously something gone there wrong with that engine. And there's 2, Brad Jones and Stephen Richards.
Well, that put a grimace on Larry's face. That race team prides itself on solid, no-nonsense engineering, and he'd be pretty cranky that something like that is sidelined Richards at a critical stage in the championship.
A double DJR effort here, 17 and 18. Johnson and Wilson. This is Mark Noski.
Making the new narrow track AU Falcon as he wallops the concrete wall.
On board with Junior. Well, these guys are in position 9 and 10 at the moment. Max Wilson managed to recover with David Brabham at Bathurst and get up to 12th position. Junior had to become an auto electrician halfway around the circuit, jump out and fire things back up.
They still haven't traced that, as I understand it. They've gone hunting, and there's no logical explanation as to why that car stopped at Bathurst. Stevie got out and maybe did a Carl Haas blessing and got back in, and away she went.
Well, I don't know what they're doing lately, but they're sticking together, these two, because they finished 12th and 13th at Bathurst. In the other order, Wilson was 12th and Johnson 13th, and now Johnson is 9th and Wilson is 10th. Take a look at the telemetry as we come along this main straight.
Good opportunity to have a listen, and we'll just soak this up.
Stephen Ellery was inside the top 5. Now he's nose first. That looks as though he's come out of the big pond turn 9. He's head up to turn 10. And, oh dear, what was going so right for Stephen Ellery and the Super Cheap team has come apart now. Rusty.
Matty has been chatting with the crew on the radio and he's more or less, I guess, apologised. He feels that he's partly to blame for this. He says as he was shifting down, the car stepped out on him, so I don't know whether it's compression locked or something along those lines, and he said it had quite a serious over-rev as well, so he's a pretty disappointed camper right now.
He must have grabbed the wrong slot somewhere. Oh dear, it's just... That's a very strange one, isn't it?
Second at Sandown, third at Bathurst for Stephen Ellery and Luke Youlden. Gee, that was awesome to be on board for that lap there with Stephen Johnson. 258 k's an hour was maximum speed heading down to turn 1. And you're sitting at home and you're wondering what Neil Crompton does now that he doesn't drive these things. I can tell you he drives every single bump and turn. I'm going to get you one of those PlayStation pedal things so you can play around in here.
The screen's too big. It's too realistic. That's the problem in our commentary box.
Dancing around every corner.
To get sweaty.
Living every gear change. Back to race conditions. This is Mark Scaife. He is in third position. Russell Ingall is our leader. Greg Murphy is second. And you can see on lap 19 that Murph was trading times there with Ingall. In fact, he was 3/100ths of a second quicker than Ingall. The gap between first and second is 2.8 seconds. The gap between second and third is 3.3 seconds. So there goes Murphy in second, and 3.5 seconds back is Mark Scaife.
That's the gap between first and second to third. So this one's settled down in the back end, and this will determine obviously the starting order for tomorrow's race. There's Bridie in fourth, further back Rick Kelly, further back Marcus Ambrose. So this gives us a great impression of the real distances between the cars.
I'll tell you, as far as the championship goes, Russell will grab 96 points for this race if he finishes first. Greg Murphy, who's second on the ladder, will grab 93. Scaife will collect 90, and then Ambrose, if he holds up position 6, will collect 81 points. Remember, 2 races this weekend, 96 points maximum per race to the winner. The championship picture is getting very interesting. 3 races at Pukekohe, another 2 to finish it off, the grand finale at Eastern Creek. And I reckon you could crunch numbers all weekend and still find that it's going to come down to the last punch. Here's midfield. 34 is Tander, that's position 16. Bargwana behind him. Then Larkham in his 100th championship start. 4 cars in this group. Cameron McConville's at the rear.
And Tander's running pretty defensively there. Remember, he had that half lose. I think it was at the exit of turn 1 earlier in the race, so that's put him down the order. And there goes Bargs searching for some cool air and just showing his boss that, look, I look after the engine, so I just keep that water temperature down. You see how good I was, Larko?
So that takes you down to Cameron McConville in position 19, and Noski, who collected the wall, is back in pit lane. The final lap of the Gillette V8 Supercar Challenge, race 1 for 2003. We've already had Champ Car qualifying today. This is Anthony Tratt and Jason Richards. Tratt goes a la Craig Lowndes at turn 3.
Notice the rear brakes again. Craig's little exhibition down there was definitely spectacular, wasn't it?
The championship is on the line on the streets of Surfers Paradise, and the V8 Supercar Championship is starting just to become a complex mass of numbers as they all start to put their hands around the throat of Marcus Ambrose at the top of the leaderboard. They thought that Ambrose was going to be the man to beat in 2003, and he certainly proved that with 5 straight victories and 5 pole positions. Stone Brothers Racing have been the team to catch. But in the latter half of this season, the Enduros didn't go well for these guys. The other teams have picked it up with faster cars, smarter strategies. They've been patient, and now it's starting to pay off. But once again, Stone Brothers comes out with a left-hander and then a right-hander. They keep delivering, and this time it is Russell Ingall. This will be a popular victory on the streets of Surfers Paradise. Listen to the crowd. Last time he was here, he was in a Holden around turn 12. Lots and lots of pace in this car. He's only been a Gold Coast resident for a short time.
Well done, mate. Fantastic job.
But there is no place like home for Russell Ingall this weekend.
Hey, I'll tell you one thing, it's easy from out the front, I can tell you. You're going to have to do this a little bit more often. Fantastic stuff, guys. Good on you.
That winning feeling returns to Stone Brothers Racing. Ingall first. Greg Murphy second. Campbell Little's got a huge grin on his face. Mark Scaife finished third. And they will be very happy as well for their teammate in Marcus Ambrose, who started from 15. There's Ross Stone, and Ambrose has finished in 6th position.
Well, Russell Ingall, well overdue, mate, but you said it was easy to do out front. I think you could get used to that.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, especially around here, qualifying was everything. That's why I sort of really put so much emphasis on that top 10 shootout. You know, we had to be out the front. I knew I can get good starts, and I just, you know, stay at the front is just so much easier. It's cleaner. You get out in clean air and just pace yourself. It's the way to do it.
Now, there's some talk down pit lane. Murph was saying during that race you give him a bit of a touch-up in pit lane.
Oh, Jesus, come on, Murph. He's won Bathurst, and he's had a few wins there. I think he can stop whinging for this weekend, let someone else have a go.
All the best, mate.